Hey everybody, welcome to Conejo Valley Visionaries. It is the first episode of season 3 of the podcast where we spotlight the people and stories behind your favorite Conejo Valley businesses. I'm your host, Christina Denstead. In today's conversation, you'll hear from Emily Capretta, co-owner of Proactive Sports, a premier sports training facility in Westlake Village. Emily takes us through her inspiring journey from aspiring sports journalist to successful entrepreneur, balancing family life with running a thriving business. She'll also share her work with California Strong, a nonprofit providing disaster relief and mobilizing the community in times of need. Tune in as Emily discusses the power of collaboration, the challenges of entrepreneurship, and the importance of giving back to the community. As always, if you enjoy this podcast and this episode in particular, please go and leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. I also encourage you to follow us on Instagram at Conejo Valley Visionaries. That's where you'll find information about weekly giveaways as well as any upcoming events we might be doing. I am planning one right now for International Women's History Month, looking to do a live panel of some of our incredible female visionaries here in the Conejo Valley. So it's a great resource on Instagram to find out what's going on. With that, please enjoy episode 1 of season 3 of Conejo Valley Visionaries featuring Emily Capretta. Hey, Emily, welcome to Conejo Valley Visionaries.
Thank you so much, Christina, for having me. I'm excited.
I am excited too. We met through the work you were doing through California Strong, or you are doing around the wildfires, and then learning a little bit more about you as an individual and the business you co-own with your husband. I just can't wait to hear all the amazing things that you're doing. You seem like you can wear multiple hats, and I can't wait to hear how you do it all. So let's get started as we always do, which is, Emily, what did you want to be when you grew up? What did you study? Tell us a little bit about your youth.
Oh my goodness, such a great question to kick it off here. When I was younger, I wanted to be a sports journalist. That was kind of my dream and passion, and I studied communications and sports journalism. And that was kind of really the direction I wanted to go. I got too tall to be a dancer, so that kind of had to go away. So yeah, being in sports was something that I've always wanted to do.
Okay. And but you also were maybe trying to be a dancer, like that was your childhood sport?
Yes, I love dancing. Actually, I grew up dancing at California Dance Theater, which is here local in the Conejo Valley. It's now Pacific Festival Ballet.
Okay.
All the years of doing the Nutcracker and competitions, and I loved it so much. But by the time I was in 9th, 10th grade, getting all the male parts and, became over 6'2" on point shoes, I just didn't think there was the right path for me.
Got it. I love it. Yeah, I know. It's sort of like the height is a deterrent for certain sports. And then what drew you to the journalism part of it? Did you always love to write, or was it more about like covering sports? Like what was like passion point?
So I think we just kind of grew up in a sports loving family. Played all the sports in the different Conejo areas growing up. Played basketball at Oak Park High School, finished there, and I started to get some interest and went on to play Division I basketball at Hofstra in New York. And I had a blast. I loved it, but it wasn't what I wanted to do in life. But I wanted to stay involved in sports. And I think that with journalism, there's a lot of creativity. There's a lot that you can learn about people. It's connecting. And I just loved sports. And so that's kind of the direction I wanted to take. And unfortunately, I tore my ACL in college, but it ended up being a blessing in disguise. Because I was able to move back to the Conejo Valley and got internships at KABC Sports and Fox Sports, and was able to kind of start going into my field, not just in the classroom, but outside the classroom.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. So you are like a real athlete, not even like dance didn't stop you. You moved on to Division I basketball. That's incredible. Did you enjoy being in New York?
You know what? I loved it. I was in Long Island, so it was a little bit different experience not being in the city. Would go to the city when we could. Long Island is beautiful place. I love the people, and coming from, Westlake Village and moving to New York, it was definitely a different experience, but it was a lot of fun. Made some amazing friends and still friendships, but it got cold.
Yeah. Definitely a different weather than here. So what drew you back to the Conejo Valley?
So I tore my ACL,
right?
And I got injured, and this guy had just started a new training facility. My little brother was one of his first clients. It was called Proactive Sports, and I was a client, and here we are almost 19 years later or whatever it is,
No way.
married and now running the business. So
Okay, so when you moved back here, you were a client of Proactive, but while also working at these various TV stations.
yes.
Okay, and from what do you mean you were a client? Were you training with at Proactive?
So Proactive did my physical therapy and rehab for my ACL, and my dad would joke that it's the longest running rehab of any injury. So that's actually how Ryan, my husband, who is the founder and co-owner with me of Proactive Sports, that's how we met.
That's incredible. So you moved back here. How long had the business been open, Proactive?
Couple months.
Okay. And how did you connect with him to begin with? Was it the only facility in the area doing something like that?
Yeah, great question. So there weren't a lot of facilities that were open at the time for training. He was originally started in Body Logic Sports Therapy, which is a long time physical therapy space. That's where his first office was, and love Scott Blatt and the team over there. And so I knew that's where I wanted to go for rehab. My little brother was one of his first clients because his uncle was his Pop Warner coach. There's all these like different, this is the Conejo Valley, right? You start
Right.
talking and all of a sudden everybody knows everybody.
Sure.
And so I originally went in to see sports therapy and then went into training, and here we are.
Okay. I love that. And now the business. So can you explain to me what Proactive is?
Yes. So Proactive is a kind of a one-stop shop for an athlete where we train from youth to professional athletes in a private or one-on-one setting, but we don't think of the athlete just as a professional. We think of the general adult fitness population, an athlete as well. So me, I'm a Westlake mom, but I'm an athlete as well. So, but everything is private or in a group setting or one-on-one.
Okay. When you first met Ryan, your husband, or I guess, just physical therapist at that point, what sort of attracted you to the business?
I felt and I still feel something that is so unique about what Proactive does is the individualization. I've trained at a lot of places, I've been in a lot of places, and you kind of become a number, becomes a little bit cookie cutter. You feel, hey, it's fun the first session, but then you kind of get lost in the shuffle. That was just kind of my experiences growing up.
Yeah.
And I think what drew me to again, it was really small when I first started. We were in a 1,200 square foot space shared with a physical therapy clinic, but it still felt so personalized and it felt very family oriented. Everybody that was there knew your name, they knew why you were there. And it just kind of, that's something that we pride ourselves on to this day is when you step in the doors, it's like family. And that was just something that really was unique to anything else I had experienced.
Yeah. Did you decide you start training or going through rehab with him? What came first, like the relationship or wanting to work together? Or were you also pursuing, the journalism route? What were
Yeah.
like the next steps after
So
meeting Ryan?
we started dating, and I was still finishing school and finishing my degree. So I finished
Okay.
for the next couple of years. I was finishing at CSUN, got my degree in journalism there, and I was kind of on my own path. Like I said, I worked at KBC eventually for 4 years, doing stuff with Fox Sports, writing for Westlake Magazine, kind of doing all sorts of things in my lane. And we got married in 2010, and at that point, I was working for a popular talk show, and I had to leave super early in the morning, come home super late at night, and we wanted to have kids. And it was, do I want to be working and driving to LA to have someone else raise my child? Or is this now the time and opportunity to step into the business? I mean, I was always involved, but is it time to really just step in and jump? And that's what we decided. And yeah, in 2010. So I've officially been involved full time since then.
Gosh. And what was the role that you took on at that point?
So I always say it's everything but training. So is there toilet paper? It's small business life, right? I got to make sure that there's toilet paper. I got to make sure people are paid, and the onboarding and the social media and the marketing and the connecting in the community. And every Sunday I would mop the floors. There's the hustle and grind of a small business owner is not something that is usually put on a resume. And that is definitely something that I learned jumping in quickly to the business. Is it's not your 9 to 5. You're on all the time. There's always something going on. There's a leak in the roof. There is a pipe that bursts. There's equipment that's broken. Whatever it is, there's always something. But I loved it, and I still
Mhm.
love it. And it just
Mhm.
makes every day very unique.
Yes. And was there something from your schooling that you feel has applied to the role now or to working?
Absolutely. I was thinking about this the other day, and I was talking with a friend. I've been able to combine everything I've learned, whether it's at jobs, so working in restaurants or being in school and my degrees and studies or working at ABC. I've been able to kind of combine the best of everything I've learned into my role now,
Mhm.
whether it's customer service and working with people, handling all the media, marketing, and relationships for the company, writing anything that has to go on. I'm able to bring in everything that I've learned and just apply it in a different way that wasn't maybe what I went to school for.
Of course. And now you said you wanted to start a family, and that's the reason why you started working with the family business.
Yeah.
Did that allow you to be more stay at home, although you were doing all everything in the business? Did it allow for more flexibility?
It does. I think I always joke it's kind of a blessing and a curse.
Mhm.
I My son is almost 12, and when he was born, I was writing paychecks in the hospital. Because it
No
was on
maternity leave.
there's no maternity leave,
Right.
and things still have to get done, and there's a challenge to that, and it's hard. I do feel a lot of small businesses owners, you don't have that opportunity to have that maternity leave because life still goes on. But on the flip side, I can block myself out and take them to school and pick them up and create my schedule around their world. And I know, my best friend works a 9 to 5 and doesn't have that flexibility. So I'm so thankful. And it's definitely better for our family, but it's not necessarily for everybody.
Yeah. Even just like you said, commuting early and coming back late, knowing that you have that time back, even if it is writing checks while you're at your own house, it must feel just a little bit more free.
Yeah, and I think there's the beauty into our kids. They've grown up in our world, they've grown up in our business. And I think there's some beauty to that. They're seeing what we're doing, what we're building, what we're creating, and they've been a part of it along the way. So I wouldn't want to change it in any other way.
Are they also athletes?
My son is really into basketball and football, and our daughter loves soccer. So we'll see. They're enjoying it.
Okay.
As long as they enjoy it and they love it, that's kind of our goal. Don't ever want to have these high expectations or push them or burn out. So if
Right.
they want to go to practice, they want to play, they want to train, then we'll fully support it.
Now, I have been to your location now that's in Westlake. You mentioned that when you first met Ryan, it was in a smaller space. When did that transition into your current location happen?
That's a great question. So from 2006 to about 2010, we were in the 1,200 square foot physical therapy space. We shared with Body Logic. And then in 2010, we moved into what we called the garage. It was a warehouse, a 5,000 square foot warehouse, roll up doors, one bathroom, no air conditioning or AC, just like it was a grind. But it was so much fun. And then we've had a beautiful partnership with Herbalife for about 15 years. And we went to them with a crazy idea. And we said, you're the leaders in sports performance. We are the leaders in sports. You're the leaders in sports nutrition. We're the leaders in sports performance. Like, let's think bigger here. And we had this idea and a vision for really a world class facility. And they were like, let's do it. And so in 2020, we built that facility and we officially moved in April of 2021. So this year, it's 4 years that we've been in our new space that I'm proud to announce has air conditioning, it has multiple bathrooms, and a gift to myself was an all female bathroom after years of sharing with a bunch of large men.
Yes. Wow.
Ladies, we got our own bathroom.
Woohoo! That is a win. I mean, and it's a gorgeous space. And so that started in 2020. Take me back to this collaboration with Herbalife. So is it unique that you have this partnership with them as is it a co-sponsor, or what's like that look like?
Yeah, it's a partnership. So it's a very unique partnership that we have with them. It started in 2010. Again, small world. The former CEO of the time, Rich Gudis, his son and my little brother were on the same Pop Warner football team, and I used to house sit for them. He walked into, the old space and saw a bunch of, professional athletes working out and was like, what is this? What is happening? And he and Ryan sat down and he was like, let's go bigger. And so we've just had an amazing partnership with them. Proactive is owned by Ryan and I, but they are essentially like a sponsor, but we consider them a partner. And we are aligned with them because of their sports nutrition products. They have a whole line that's just for the athlete. So pre-workout, post-workout, all the things in between. And what's so important is all their products are third-party NSF tested. So that means that every sporting accreditation in the world signs off on their product. And for us, as we have all these athletes from around the world that come and work with us, that was something that's very important. We can stand behind what we have in the gym, and we know that there's not going to be any banned substances or any issues. And they're on our lens of wanting to just learn, educate, and do what we can to kind of teach and grow people in sports performance.
What a smart partnership and a way to like make it grow bigger. That's incredible. How do you attract such top talent coming to the Conejo Valley? I'm so curious about that.
We get that question a lot, and I can proudly say that anything that we have done has been grown through word of mouth. We've never done any marketing. And it starts, I'll give a really great example. Long time ago, feels like Clay Matthews. He was a huge NFL player, but he started at Gore High School, and he was a walk-on at USC. And before he started an NFL draft, his first NFL season, he came and trained at Proactive. He and Ryan just had a really great relationship for over a decade. And Clay called a teammate and brought a teammate, and that teammate brought a teammate. And then all these teammates start bringing each other. And that's really how things grow. And I think it's one thing to get people in the door, but our client retention is something that's pretty impressive. And it's because of our team. It's because of our incredible team that's at Proactive. That goes back to what I initially said. You're more than a number. You are made to feel more than a superstar. You are made to feel as a person. Yeah. And our team is really special and incredible. And so I think there's a huge attraction. And now in our current facility, we have some amazing equipment and technology and things that we can offer that you can't find in other places. Mm-hmm. So while that's cool and a draw to bring people in, it's really the environment and community that has people stay.
And it's for not only top athletes, you said, but also just an adult or a kid looking to work on their fitness?
Yes, the general population. It's kind of funny when I say this stat, people don't believe me. The general population is our main clientele at the end of the day. We have an amazing group of men and women that train in the gym year round, and it's fun, and that becomes like family too. It's really, you see over the years, you have women taking some of our NFL players to go get pedicures because they're like, oh my gosh, you need a pedicure. And you have, some of our NFL guys coming to my kids' school and doing presentations. And then you have kids who move out here to train and they don't have family, and it's the holiday season. So they're at our family's, Christmas or Thanksgiving. So it's so much more than a gym. It's really a community.
Yeah. And like is rooted in family in terms of like even how you came on and joined the team. What do you think? I mean, it sounds like the individualized part of it is what keeps that community family going, but is there anything specific that you think that maybe you've done intuitively to keep that community vibe? Because that's a hard thing to do, especially if it's, you've got this partnership with a huge organization like Herbalife. Like, what is it that is the kind of trick if somebody else was trying to figure out how to do that in their own business?
I think the beauty and power of connection is extremely powerful, especially when it comes to small businesses. The small businesses are the backbone of community. They're who is called to sponsor the T-shirt or donate the gift basket. And I think there's sometimes this feeling that there has to be like a competition in the small business space. And I have always shifted that mindset of it needs to be community and collaborative. So any opportunity that we have to be collaborative in the community, that's kind of our goal and vision. Our contractor who built out our facility, he was one of our first clients. And he brought in another client's dad who did the drywall and the The TV and AVs that we put in the facility were a vendor that we've known that was a former client. So I think there's just this beauty in that. And if there's an event or if there's a space, what can we do to be a part of things? And I think naturally your business kind of grows in that way. I'm a part of the Conejo Chamber, and I think I've learned so many about so many amazing businesses that I didn't know. And I do think it's just really putting yourself out there and educating yourself of what this community has to offer, because this community has pretty much built and raised our business.
That's incredible. I love the idea of collaboration. And I do, as a sort of observer and hearing other businesses, that seems like the key to success in this area. You really have to be deeply embedded and ensure that you have those connections with others.
And it's having that symbiotic relationship, realizing that, hey, I might do something or I might help with something, and I'm not going to get anything back right now. But there, maybe in a couple months, like something comes back. And I feel far too much in business, people are looking for like, how does this help me? Or what can this do for me? And not realizing that that answer might not be there right now. And let's just figure out the relationship and then take it. So much of what we've done is over handshake and word of mouth. And it is funny. We do a lot of that, but then we are partnered with big companies like CAA Sports and Herbalife. You have all these, actual like documents and things. And we're like, whoa, wait, hold on. We do things on handshakes, So we get a mix of both worlds.
Balancing big and small.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of community, tell me about California Strong, because that's very community focused, nonprofit. How did that come to be?
So California Strong was started in 2018 after the Woolsey fires and the borderline shooting that unfortunately our community experienced in a matter of 24 hours. And we were evacuated, and I actually texted my husband's cousin, Jessica Lopez, and she and her husband own a restaurant with Kelly and Justin at the time, Stonefire. And I said, how many people can you feed? Literally, I think that's how the text message started. It was on a Thursday or a Friday, and it went from there, and it spiraled. And it spiraled into less than 5 days later, doing what we called a community Thanksgiving. So those who had been impacted were able to come and have a sit-down meal. We laughed, we sang, we cried, we prayed. There was a shopping experience. Richard Murdoch was extremely generous and donated over like $50,000 worth of brand new products. And we had an experience. So those who had lost everything were able to come in and naturally, and in a beautiful way, get items and assistance that they needed. And the community stepped up like anything I've ever seen happen. And so there that night, we had a couple of our clients that were there, and they were wanting to get involved and do something. What we quickly learned when we did it, and I had $15,000 in my personal Venmo after we started things, was we needed to do it properly and run it the right way. And so I have an amazing relationship with the Yarrow YMCA, Southeast Ventura County YMCA, and we set up a partnership with them for our event. And I told, our athletes, I said, this is really what you guys should be doing. They're a 501c3. They have the infrastructure. They can handle everything from the vetting. And 4 days later, California Strong was born. And Ryan Braun, let's see who else, Mike Antanasio, Christian Yelich, Mike Moustakis, and Jared Goff are the, official founders. And what they've been able to do with their platform since 2018 has been amazing. We've had lots of events, and prior to these fires, at the time, we had raised over $2.5 million in those couple years. And all of that money, 100% of it goes to those families that have been impacted. So I think that's what's really different than a lot of foundations is the money goes out. There, all the administration costs are handled from the Y. No one on the part of the committee takes any money. It's all volunteer time. And so 2.5 is raised, 2.5 has gone out. And I have physically been there to hand out checks, and it's pretty impactful.
Yeah, it gives me chills thinking about that. How did you know to partner with Yar? It sounds like you have a sense of, this like partnership eye. How do I bring people together? What made you, obviously the YMCA is an incredible organization, and the ones here in particular in Westlake is awesome. What made you think to go that route?
That's a great question. I think so much in business is a lot of trial and error, and it's going to work this time, but it's not going to work next time. Like I said, I just have been involved with the Y. One of our best friends is a board member on the Y. So we've always kind of been in tune with what's happening. We go to the gala every year and kind of stay up to date what's happening. And so when I was thinking locally who could maybe help, they just randomly came to mind. And I think that's what happens. There's, you have a Rolodex, right? You have your business Rolodex, and this next event that just happened that we started, we like revamped California Strong for these latest LA fires. It's how it started again. It was a simple text message to one person and then another person, and then, hey, getting all these people involved. And then within a week, you have this massive event and $300,000 that's been raised. And so it just kind of a trial and error half the time.
It's interesting because I was speaking with another guest, and his advice for entrepreneurs was like, no more thinking, just take action, basically. And it sounds like you don't have a problem with that. You're all about the action.
And, it's, again, sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. And I think that's the beauty in business. You're not going to strike it every time. You're going to have failures, and whether it's in nonprofit work or business work or whatever it is, it's not going to work every time. But the times it does and the times it takes off, it's pretty incredible to see what community and people that want to help, what they can make happen.
So with the recent fires, unfortunately here, what did California Strong, what have you guys done so far?
So the night that the fires broke out, I was actually texting with the founder, Ryan Braun, and a couple weeks prior, he was evacuated due to the mountain fire. And we were actually able to pass out $153,000 to families that had lost their homes in the mountain fire. And so he was packing up and he was evacuating again himself. And I said, it's time to mobilize. It's time. We've got to do it. We have to get going here. And started off with a text to Kelly and Jessica and Tessa, and then I brought in a couple other people. And these women are a force. This committee that was put together is such a force. And I think they're all masters of what they do. So whether it's someone reaching out to brands or someone reaching out for social media or for product donations, whatever it was, everybody was so good at their role.
Yeah.
And so we were able to have over 400 individuals who'd been impacted come shop all brand new products. And we had raised at that time $250,000. So we were able to cut 250 checks for families who had been impacted. It then segued into another event in the foothills, which is those primarily impacted by the Eaton fire. We had over 1,000 individuals show up. And to date, we are at over 1,200 families that have applied and have been verified that need assistance. So we now have a goal to raise over $1 million. Okay. We got an amazing donation yesterday from an individual. They gave $100,000, and that's 100 checks. And so we're going to be continuing the awareness. We're going to be continuing events because far too often people move on to that next news cycle and they move on to the next thing. And what we've learned in our time really diving in, especially with fires, is it's a 3-year cycle that individuals need help. It's in 6 months, it's in a year, and we want to keep the fundraising going. This impact and what happened is insane in LA, but in previous fires, when it wasn't not as many homes, we were able to come back in a year later and give another check, and come in at 2 years and be like, how are you doing? And, going up to the campfire in Paradise, I handed out a check to an individual, and he was able to buy a laptop to continue his business going. Like, the impact that these checks have, because they're immediate assistance before insurance, before any other assistance they might get, is so powerful. And we want to keep that message going and remind people that there's a lot of people in LA that need help.
And how do you think that the community here, Conejo Valley, do you feel like there has been this passion to help LA? I don't think that there's like in conflict between the two places, but it's interesting because they are our neighbors, but we weren't directly impacted here, thank God, this time. But it sounds like people were still proactively wanting to be involved and supporting.
Yeah, I think the hearts in this community are beautiful. And I think everyone wants to help. They just need an action point. They need to know how to help. Yeah. When the fires broke out, I started a campaign with Proactive to feed first responders and those impacted. And we were able to do over 500 meals in 3 days. Then it was, hey, these people need supplies. Who can bring supplies? We did 15 runs of cars full and you did one. Thank you. Um, and everyone wants to show up, but there's not necessarily people don't know how.
Yeah.
And so we hope to be a vessel that can help you show up in whatever capacity. Go to the restaurant that's doing the 20% give back. Come volunteer for an event, or we have a spring shopping event that we're going to be launching. Shop, and know that your money, your sales are going to a good cause.
Right.
Whatever it is that you can do to help, step in, because in this point, every penny counts.
And I think that's what I found so unique about California Strong, what I was just following on social media. And, I met through when you had the event, the shopping event, or not shopping, but, the event for people to come and get new goods, is that it's these sort of like all different ways, like you said, meet people where they are. Or I'm part of the Conejo Valley Run Club, and you partnered with them to have the proceeds of their shirts go back to California Strong. And it's really very community driven. And I know right now you were working with, is it a band, or helping drive album sales in order to raise money? Is that right?
Yes, there's a beautiful couple. They're on social media as Corby Music, and they are so lovely. And they wrote this love song to LA called I Believe. And it's $1 to download on platforms, and 100% of the proceeds are going to those who have been impacted through California Strong. So I would love to get it to 1 million, downloads, because
Yes.
it's $1 million. So, and again, it's $1, and you can like it, you can post it, you can share it. And that's, I think, whether it's California Strong or just regular small businesses that are in this community, it's not always about the spend. I think there's such a power in liking the post, commenting on a post, sharing a post. That does more sometimes for a business than going there and buying the product or writing that review. And so I think there's ways to bring awareness and help without having it be hard on the wallet.
I love that. I know, I'm sure you've seen the meme that's like like an invoice of how much it costs to help a friend's small business. It's like sharing $0, like liking the post. And you're right. I think you don't always know the impact, but to your point, like it could be a longer term thing that people don't realize is happening in that moment. So there's different ways. And I appreciate that you guys have found different ways for people to participate and get back. Cause when the fires hit, it was, wanting to volunteer or do something, but not really knowing how. And the fact that there are still ways that you can participate even a month later is really helpful.
And, like I said, we have a lot of exciting things that we're rolling out the rest of the year. We have a shopping event. We're working on a concert. Like there's going to be multiple things and multiple ways for people to stay involved.
So if somebody who's listening wants to be a part of this, where do they go? How do they find out more?
Everything is at californiastrong.org. And support at californiastrong.org is the email if they have any questions. We are looking for anybody that wants to help. So if you're a business and you want to have a restaurant night and 20% goes back to California Strong, we will flood your restaurant. We will make sure that it is packed. If you're a store that wants to have a certain product, I have like these earrings. Oh, you can't see them, but I have these LA earrings. A downtown jewelry designer reached out to us, and she has these LA earrings, and she wants the proceeds to go to California Strong. We are open to any and all ideas. Nothing is too big or too small, because if $500 comes in, that's going right to a family. So we'll take whatever we can get.
And I do think it sounds like maybe your journalism background has helped. I know you've gotten lots of press coverage too. Is that something that has been fun to kind of flex during this?
It is, with Proactive and with California Strong. Again, it's going back to that Rolodex. We learn in business and life that you never burn a bridge, and you always, if you're going to exit somewhere, you keep it as a positive exit. And that comes back for a reason. And I can text my friends that are still at KBC and say, hey, can you help me with this? Or my friend Alex, who's been a champion of California Strong since day one at Fox, and say, hey, do you want to come cover this? Mm-hmm. So it is fun, with Proactive and California Strong. I'm definitely able to, still have my journalistic lens on.
Great. What has been the biggest challenge, whether in Proactive or California Strong or in life in general?
Life in general.
Yeah. Different podcast.
We have a new podcast, Small Business Owner in California, the last 5 years. That's been fun.
I'm curious about that. I'd be interested, if you want to go down that path.
I mean, you could bring a round table together. That'd be very entertaining.
Yeah.
I think I think one of the biggest lessons that I've learned, and it's really taken a long time to get to this place, is your product's not for everybody. And for me, that was something that took it almost like felt personal, whether it's the price or the fit or right. I'm such a people pleaser, and I'm like, yes, I want everyone to like this and love this. And at the end of the day, your product's not for everybody.
Yeah.
And I think as soon as I learned and truly understood that, my mindset and my flow of how we run our business became a lot healthier. Um, it's a good learning lesson, especially I wish I had kind of trusted my gut a little bit more on that in the beginning of Proactive. And I will say for the first couple years, it was very challenging being a husband wife running a business.
Yeah.
Um, Not necessarily for Ryan and I, because we don't do the same thing, which is great. If we were doing the same thing, I don't think this would work. But his strengths are my weaknesses and vice versa. So we actually work really well together. I would more say just being a husband, wife, owning a business, especially at the time in a very male dominated world, was challenging. It was something that I would say or go after or need to have done. As a female, one was challenging, but then being the wife, it was
Like
proposed.
you're not giving enough credit, maybe, or people don't trust you as
It's
much
not
in
about
it?
the credit. It's more about would this conversation be happening if it wasn't the wife?
Right.
It was almost like, no, well, if there was a male telling you the exact same thing, you'd have no problem with it. Or if it was another female telling you the exact same thing, there'd be no problem with it. But because I'm the wife,
Understood.
and so
Right. And I meant that in credit of like, yeah, somebody doesn't trust you as much as maybe because you are the wife of the co-owner or
yeah,
whatever.
so
Yeah.
finding that footing for me in business was in the very beginning was really hard. And so you're just learning, you learn things along the way. Like I said, for every 5 things I got right, 10 things were wrong. And nothing of it's intentional. You're just learning as you try and build.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until we moved into my new facility, and my best friend gives me the hardest time for this. I didn't have my own email. I was just office or info at Proactive. And it wasn't until we moved into our new facility, she's like, what is wrong with you? One, you need a proper title. And two, you need your own email. And I was like, okay. So it's so silly, but it took me, over 8 years to feel confident to have my own email and not just be like the wife of the business. So that's like for me one of the biggest growing points.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And such a seemingly small thing, your own email address, but it's true. It gives you like something to stand on. Or if you don't have your own name on your email address. That's an interesting. Thank you for sharing that, being vulnerable about that, because it does make a lot of sense and something that, I am surprised, not surprised, but there are so many husband, wife owners, at least especially the season that I've interviewed. That's really interesting, like the dynamic and making it work. It's
And
very
you both
impressive.
want to have your own identity, and you won't both, you're both putting in the time, you're putting in the work, you're putting in the investment and the sacrifices. And so you both want to be able to just at the end of the day be like, this is our business. And that was another thing. Like for so long, I was like, oh, Ryan's business. Ryan's business. Of course he started it.
Yeah.
And of course it was, his brainchild. But oh wait, no, this is my full-time job. This is our business. Like this is everything comes to
It wouldn't run without you.
and so it literally, I was like, do you know where the toilet paper is? Do
Right.
you know where it goes? And so I, for the longest time though, finding my own identity in the business was really challenging.
Yeah. Well, what are you most proud of?
Ooh, great question. I'd say I'm most proud of the community that we've built. On a small scale, large scale, we were both born and raised here, and to be able to have moments where we can give back, moments where we can gather people together, um, put a smile on that person's face. There's so many stories of moments that have been just super impactful in our facility that our team, and when I say we, I mean our team, have been able to provide for people. People who have lost loved ones and showed up to the gym because they wanted to be there. People who have lost their homes that show up because they want to be there. People who are sick and battling something that not a lot of people know they're battling that are there.
Yeah.
And whatever that touch point is, being the place that people feel comfortable enough, I think that's something that we're really proud of.
Well, it seems like you've made a real impact on the community, and it's nice that it's the place that you grew up and to like give back and only further like grow. That's pretty incredible. So, congratulations on all that.
Thank you. I think, I people always say, you guys do a lot. When I said we have a facility and we have a voice. If we don't, it's kind of shame on us.
Yeah.
We're what else are we here for if it's not to try and better those directly with us, those around us, and, help our community that truly raised us.
Yeah. What's your vision for Proactive and for California Strong?
For California Strong, I would love to be raising millions of dollars. So that way we just can be helping as many people as possible. Don't quote me on this stat, but there was an interesting percentage that we saw that 14% of the homes in LA were burned or impacted. There's a lot of people that need help. And sadly, there's going to be another disaster. There's going to be something else that happens. And so the more money we can raise, ultimately, the more we can help people. And that's, after you hand out that check or you see the child so excited to get a toy or someone just so thankful to get a brand new pair of shoes, once you experience that for the first time, you have to keep going. You're like, I can't stop. Like we have to keep helping people.
Yeah.
And then for Proactive, I think one of our big goals that we have right now and something we've been working on for a while is making what we do accessible to those that are not in the facility. So we have like an online project and, different things in the works. So I think that's kind of the next step with Proactive.
Great. A couple of quick fire questions for you.
Ooh, yay, love fire.
First one is, do you have a favorite other small business in the Conejo Valley that you can shout out?
Oh my gosh. There's so many. How much time do we have?
Give me your top 3 or top 1.
Okay. Other favorite small businesses. I absolutely love, on the Proactive lens, Holly Vian Interiors was amazing. And she brought like kind of the whole vision to life of what I wanted for Proactive. So very patient human. Absolutely. Absolutely love Holly Vian. She's fantastic. I'm trying to like think of different categories of like
Favorite restaurant?
oh gosh. So recently, one of my favorite restaurants that just is new to the area is Selvins.
Yes.
It is so much fun. The team there is doing such a great job. The food is really good. Super great, like sit down experience for to go. I'm a big fan of Be Neighborly. It's like a family favorite, and was just recently turned on to the Cookie Cafe, which I do not know if you have been there yet, but
No.
oh my gosh, you need to go. They're like amazing. They just opened amazing cookies. So random. And our favorite coffee shop is always Longevity. We love our friends over there. Send lots
They're
of
great.
there.
Okay, no, that's very helpful. And I have not been to Cookie Cafe. I think I saw on your Instagram you shared something from it, and I'm a big cookie fan, so I've got to go check it out.
Like so good. But we'll just get them on your talk to them. Find out the recipe. So good.
I will do it. I love it. Okay, what's your favorite thing to do in the Conejo Valley?
Ooh, great question. I love being outside. A lot of people who know me always see me walking the lake. I think the lake is one of my absolute favorite things to do. Ryan and I do it a lot together. Sometimes it's like our working meetings, or I grab get a friend and go stop at Bonnaby, grab a coffee, walk the lake. I think us being so close to the ocean is something that we take for granted. So I love trying to go down to the ocean as much as possible. This is such a great question. Beautiful hikes, lots of areas to hike. We have a couple fun trails behind our house. So
Nice.
we like to go on the trails. And then I really do love just the random restaurant outings and getting together and exploring new places. The Agora Wine Bar is such a cute spot.
Another one I don't know of.
You go and like have a glass of wine with friends, make it a day and do like a fun experience at Lumber and Linen. They do really cute classes. So you can grab a friend and do one of their 2-hour workshops, go grab a glass of wine, then finish dinner at Basta. I mean, I can give you some like itineraries.
I know. Well, I would, of course, love that. But I had no idea about the workshops. I've been trying to find more of that. So that's a good tip. I'll have to look into
Lumber and linen, I should have put them as one of my favorite businesses in the area. They're a family-run business as well.
Okay.
They're a landscaping company, but they have a storefront now, and they do really great workshops. Like I did a jewelry making one last year. I think they have an incense making one coming up. So super. I like to go to businesses and places where you can kind of do an experience
Yeah, of
while
course.
and then I'm in a lot of sport events all the time with the kids,
Yeah, and I like that little Wizen area. Yes, you can kind of like hop around and find all the different businesses within it. Okay, my last question for you is, what is one piece of advice you would offer to first-time entrepreneurs?
On top of like your product's not for everybody, because I think that's just something that really hits home with me. Have patience. Have patience because it's not built in a day. You're not going to have everything figured out. There's going to be a lot of trial and error. Be patient with your product. Be patient with yourself. And just know that it will happen. Patience on your timing. Just be patient, because it definitely takes some time to sometimes get everything figured out. And my gosh, 18 years in, we're still figuring things out. So just when you think you've got it figured, something else is coming. So just be patient and give yourself some grace.
Kudos to 18 years. That is incredible. So, a lot of businesses, I know there are so many stats out there that businesses don't make it that long, and especially in a community like this. So congratulations. That's really amazing. And that it shows that you are so deeply embedded here and doing things, even if it doesn't feel always right, like working in the right direction. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. We hope there's 18 more years to come,
There we go. Yes, of course it will. And thank you for all the work that you guys have been doing to help support all the communities. That's such a huge effort, and it helps somebody like me get involved too. So I really appreciate all of that.
Well, thank you. I'm loving your podcast and seeing places that I don't necessarily know about, despite living here for so long. So
right. It's all information sharing,
Yes, keep it up.
Great. Well, thank you, Emily. We'll speak soon.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Conejo Valley Visionaries. If you like today's episode, make sure to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. And don't forget to rate and review us. That's the best way to support the podcast. To enter our giveaways, learn about local events, and to find out more about each guest, follow at Conejo Valley Visionaries on Instagram. If you want to share your visionary story on the podcast, send us an email. We are always open to guest nominations. Email conejovalleyvisionaries@gmail.com. This episode was produced by Christina Denstead and Justin K. Sloan. Conejo Valley Visionaries is edited by Justin K. Sloan and J. Sloan Productions.